There's a war going on right now, and the battlefield is your mind. As you listen to these words, millions of stimuli compete for your attention. Notifications, opinions, fears, desires. And the worst part? Most people have already lost this war without even realizing it. They wake up, pick up their phones, and hand their consciousness over to algorithms, fads, and fleeting emotions. Epictetus warned 2,000 years ago, whoever does not govern himself will be governed by another. Does it seem like an exaggeration? Think about it for a moment. How many times have you done something just to please someone? How many decisions have you made driven by anger, envy, or anxiety? That's when the mind shows who's boss. And most of the time, it's not you. Modern humans pride themselves on their freedom, but live as slaves to what they feel, what they consume, and what they fear losing. The brutal truth is that slavery never ended. It just changed form. Today, the chains are invisible, made of distraction, comparison, and excessive desire. Epictetus would call this self-imprisonment. He said that an undisciplined mind is like a wild horse, powerful, but dangerous if left untamed. And here's the point that almost no one understands. You don't have to fight your thoughts. You have to learn to lead them. Mastering your mind isn't about stifling your feelings. It's about choosing what deserves your energy. When you understand this, the world stops controlling you. You begin to see chaos from the outside, not from within. What if I told you there's a simple method, used since the time of Epictetus, to reclaim this power? It's not a magic technique, nor a modern formula. It's discipline, clarity, and daily practice. It's what separates those who react from those who build, those who live at the mercy of chance, and those who shape their own destiny. Because in the end, whoever masters the mind masters all. First, learn the meaning of what you say, and then say it. Stop now and think. Every word you speak isn't just sound. It's a force that resonates in your mind, in the world, and in the lives of those around you. Speaking without understanding is like shooting arrows in the dark. You might hit the enemy, but you might also injure yourself. How many times have you regretted a phrase spoken in the heat of the moment, or an impulsive comment on social media? Epictetus warns us, true freedom begins within you, and the first proof of this is, master what you say. Without it, you're a hostage to circumstances, anger, and the opinions of others. Every thoughtless word you speak is a step away from controlling your own life. Observe your daily life. Hasty messages, heated discussions at work, automatic responses to provocations from friends or family. Each of these situations is a trap for your mind. Epictetus would say that haste and superficiality in speaking are the enemies of the free man. A poorly calculated comment can have consequences you can't even imagine, damaging relationships, losing opportunities, and generating a bad reputation. Training your mind to reflect before speaking is like training invisible muscles. It strengthens character, protects your authority, and creates instant respect. Imagine you receive unfair criticism or deliberate provocation. Most people react impulsively, anger, defensiveness, emotional outbursts. The wise man pauses. He breathes, evaluates, perceives the true meaning behind the words, and decides the best response, or even remains strategically silent. This moment of awareness is what transforms a destructive reaction into an opportunity for growth. It is at this point that the weak are separated from the unshakable. Every second of attention before speaking is a building block in the construction of a powerful and unbreakable mind. In everyday life, you can practice small actions. Before writing a message or commenting, ask yourself, do I fully understand what I'm about to communicate? Do my words add value or detract from it? Am I conveying clarity or confusion? In meetings or discussions, breathe, organize your thoughts, and visualize the real impact. These seemingly simple pauses, repeated daily, transform your communication, strengthen your mind, and reveal a presence that isn't dominated by other people's emotions. Furthermore, well-thought-out words generate immediate respect. Leaders, teachers, speakers, and admired individuals don't speak impulsively. Each sentence is measured, loaded with meaning, and clearly intended. This creates natural authority and influences the world around them. Epictetus emphasizes, true freedom is not about having what you want, but about controlling what you say and how you think. Those who speak without understanding leave room for external chaos to dominate their minds and manipulate their decisions, while those who understand before expressing themselves take control of their own destiny. The internal effect is also profound. Start by changing what you look at, what you consume, what you repeat to yourself. Because whether you like it or not, you become a reflection of what you observe most. Look around. People live trapped in cycles of distraction. Cell phones have become the new temple of attention, where we pray to the algorithm and surrender our souls in exchange for dopamine. And all the while, the mind weakens, loses focus, becomes hostage to what's urgent, forgetting what's important. Epictetus would call this self-destruction in disguise. People think they're staying informed, but they're drowning in noise. They think they're relaxing, but they're becoming addicted. Every time you pay attention to what drains you, you feed the weak part of your soul. On the other hand, when you consciously choose where you place your attention, everything changes. It's like turning the rudder of a ship in rough seas. It may seem small at first, but it completely changes the destination. Choosing carefully what you consume, what you read, who you talk to, and what you think isn't rigidity, it's survival. If you fill your mind with wisdom, purpose, and silence, you begin to see the world clearly. And suddenly, what once irritated you no longer matters. What distracted you no longer has any power. Attention is the fuel of consciousness, and only those who learn to direct it are truly free. Think about how elite athletes train their focus. They don't just train their bodies, they train their minds. They learn to eliminate noise and concentrate everything on a single point. This is the same discipline Epictetus taught, only applied to life. When you choose to pay attention to what strengthens you, reading, reflection, silence, purpose, you begin to transform. It's not magic, it's biology. Your brain rebuilds itself based on what you feed it. You literally become what you think. But attention isn't just about what you see, it's about what you ignore. Learning to ignore is a spiritual art. Ignoring what hurts, what distracts, what drains your vital energy. The wise don't dwell on what they can't change. They channel every ounce of attention into what makes them grow. And that's why most people never achieve peace. Because they waste energy fighting what doesn't depend on it. Epictetus said, "It's not the world that disturbs you, it's how you interpret it." And interpretation comes from what you focus on. In the end, attention is the most valuable asset you possess. Everything you have, you can lose. But the power to choose where to place your consciousness, that no one can take away. And it is precisely this power that the modern world tries to steal. Every notification, every video, every controversy. The undisciplined mind becomes a toy in the hands of others. And the greatest slavery of the century is not political, it is mental. To be free today is to have the courage to choose what to think about. Now stop for a moment and ask yourself, where has your attention been? On what weakens you or what strengthens you? Choose wisely. And if this message resonated with you, subscribe, leave a comment, and share this video. Because what you pay attention to multiplies. No great work is created suddenly. We live in an age where everyone wants instant results. Muscles in 30 days, success in 3 steps, spiritual enlightenment in a weekend. But Epictetus would look at all this with a slight smile of contempt. He knew that true growth is silent, invisible, and slow. No tree grows overnight, and no character is forged without time and pain. Iron needs fire to become a sword. The soul needs hardship to become wise. The modern world hates this truth, but it remains non-negotiable. There is no greatness without process. Every great work is built piecemeal. Picasso didn't start painting Guernica. Marcus Aurelius wasn't born a philosopher. He became one, line by line, struggle by struggle. Every self-improved person understands that progress is like an underground river. You can't see it, but it's there, carving out the impossible until it emerges into the light. Haste is the enemy of depth, and those who seek shortcuts end up lost. It's like planting a seed and shouting for it to sprout faster. It doesn't work that way. Time is the true ally of those with purpose. Epictetus said it's foolish to desire the result without loving the journey. Most people want the reward but shy away from the process. You want wisdom but avoid silence. You want strength, but fear discomfort. The Stoic learns to see beauty in effort, pleasure in discipline, honor in patience. He understands that constancy is more powerful than inspiration. Because inspiration gets you started, but it's constancy that makes you succeed. No masterpiece is born from a flash. It's born from a solid routine, from 1,000 small acts of persistence that no one sees. Think of someone building a cathedral. The bricklayer who lays the first stone knows he may never see the finished roof. When we speak without thinking, our minds become agitated, our emotions spiral out of control, and our feelings of powerlessness grow. Thinking before speaking organizes ideas, strengthens self-confidence, and turns every interaction into a mental workout. Each conscious word is a step toward emotional freedom and inner power. Applying this daily transforms not only your conversations, but also the way you face challenges, criticism, and conflict. Start right now. Before you speak, breathe, evaluate your intentions, and analyze each word. Transform each sentence into a tool of power, each strategic silence into strength. This is the first lesson for those who desire freedom, control, and unshakable presence. Today, you can begin your journey to becoming someone who controls their destiny, is not manipulated by the words of others, and becomes master of their own mind. No man is free if he is not master of himself. The freedom most people seek is an illusion. They believe freedom is doing what you want, when you want. But Epictetus reveals a brutal truth. Real freedom is master yourself, not being dominated by the desires, emotions, and impulses that enslave us inside. It's easy to think we're free when we can choose a job, a partner, or what to watch. What's difficult is realizing how much we are prisoners of our reactions, of the anxiety that controls us, the fear that paralyzes, the anger that speaks louder. Being free is looking within and realizing that no one has power over you unless you surrender that power. Look at how we live. We check our phones every 5 minutes. We react to criticism as if it were deadly attacks. We buy things we don't need to feel in control. But this is prison in disguise. True mastery begins when you understand that nothing external can determine your internal state. The world can fall apart outside, and yet, you can remain at peace. This is self-mastery. This is mental strength. Epictetus said that it's not the lack of freedom that suffocates us, but the attachment to what we can't control. Every time you react impulsively, you hand over your chains to chaos. Think of the warrior who, in the midst of battle, remains calm while everyone else loses theirs. He observes, acts with precision, and doesn't waste energy. This is the portrait of a free man. Now, compare with someone who allows himself to be dominated by small frustrations, traffic, a colleague's comment, a stranger's criticism on the internet. Who is truly a prisoner? The difference lies in internal control, and this control doesn't arise out of thin air. It is trained, cultivated, honed like a sword. The undisciplined mind seeks comfort. The free mind seeks awareness. Epictetus was not speaking of political or social freedom, but of a much deeper freedom. Not to be a slave to one's own emotions. This doesn't mean being cold or distant, but knowing when to act and when to simply observe. It's the ability to feel anger without being overcome by it, to feel fear without letting it paralyze you. Most people live as puppets of their feelings, and that's why they suffer. The freedom Epictetus teaches is subtle, but transformative. It's the power to respond wisely, not react with despair. Want a practical example? Try observing your reactions for a day. When something irritates you, instead of responding, breathe. Feel the impulse and observe it. This 3-second pause is the battleground between prison and freedom. In this brief interval, you decide whether you will be master of yourself or a slave to circumstances. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. This is true strength. Not shouting louder, but mastering your own silence. Controlling yourself isn't a burden, it's a privilege. It's like learning to tame a wild horse. At first, it throws you off balance, challenges you, and throws you off balance. But with patience and practice, you become the rider who guides your life, not the one being dragged along by it. This is the journey of self-mastery, hard, slow, but liberating. With each impulse conquered, you gain power. With each reaction avoided, you gain peace. And with each conscious choice, you move closer to a freedom few truly experience. If you want to change your life, start right now by mastering your feelings before acting. Be the master of your mind, not the servant of your emotions. Like, comment, and share this message. Someone needs to hear it today as much as you do. You become what you pay attention to. Epictetus knew what most people still don't understand. Whatever you focus on grows. What you focus on, day after day, shapes your mind, your character, and, inevitably, your destiny. If you feed anger, anger shapes you. If you feed doubt, doubt rules you. The mind is like a garden, and every thought is a seed. The problem is that many spend their lives cultivating weeds and wondering why nothing blooms. Want to change your life? Yet he places each block with precision, as if the world would watch. This is how the soul is built, with small but intentional gestures. Every right choice, every impulse controlled, every day you do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it, is a stone placed in the architecture of your character. And one day when you look back, you'll realize the building is there. Solid, unshakable. Haste is a form of disguised fear. The impatient fear not arriving on time, fearing loss, fearing being forgotten. But the calm person knows that time works in favor of those who do not give up. They understand that the value of an achievement lies precisely in the time it took to hone. Everything that comes easy, goes easy. Everything that requires patience molds and purifies. And when you understand this, the journey ceases to be torture and becomes sacred. Every challenge becomes a test, and every delay, a blessing in disguise. Consider what happens in nature. Chinese bamboo spends years growing invisibly underground. Nothing appears, no shoots, no sign of life. But when it finally breaks through the soil, it grows meters in a matter of weeks. Why? Because the roots were being strengthened in the dark. So it is with the human spirit. The years of silence, of struggle, of doubt, all of this is root. And when the time comes, the ascent is inevitable. The problem is that most give up before seeing the first shoot, and then they spend their lives believing they weren't born for this. The secret is to love the process, appreciate the slow progress, the mistakes, the failures, the new beginnings. The Stoic warrior knows that time doesn't slow him down, it refines him. Every scar, every delay, every failed attempt is writing his story. The important thing is not to stop, because no great work is created overnight. But every great work begins with a single act of courage, continuing even without visible results. So ask yourself, what have you been building in silence? What are you cultivating today that will flourish tomorrow? If these words touched you, leave a comment here, share this video, and subscribe, because patience is also a form of power. Freedom is secured not by the satisfaction of desires, but by their removal. Epictetus knew that modern man would be enslaved by a new kind of chain, desire. No longer chained by iron shackles, but by uncontrollable desires. The desire to be seen, to be admired, to possess more, to prove something to someone. The world sells freedom, but delivers dependence. Every notification, every impulsive purchase, every invisible comparison on social media is a golden leash. And the cruelest thing is that most call this normal life. The brutal truth is that no one is free while held hostage by their desires, because those who always need something never rest. The Stoic understands that true freedom begins when you reduce need to a minimum, when I want becomes I choose. While the common man lives chasing pleasure, the free man chooses what is worth his time and energy. He doesn't seek what pleases him, he seeks what strengthens him. Because he knows, pleasure is a shadow, and those who chase it never reach it. The secret lies in reversing the logic. Stop chasing things and let them come to you naturally when they are no longer essential. Today's society teaches us to desire everything. More success, more likes, more speed, more power. But the more you desire, the further away you become from peace. Desire is an emotional debt that is never repaid. You buy something and then immediately want the next one. You achieve a goal and already feel the emptiness of the next step. Epictetus called this a golden prison, a life surrounded by achievements but without inner freedom. And the most ironic thing is that everyone believes they are living the dream, when in reality they are just accumulating new chains. Wisdom begins when you learn to observe your desires from a distance. Ask yourself, do I really need this? Or do I just want it because the world told me I should? When you silence the noise of your mind and start listening to yourself, you discover that most of your desires aren't yours. They were implanted. Propaganda, comparison, the fear of falling behind. All of this pushes you to live outward, not inward. And in the meantime, your soul weakens. Epictetus wasn't against pleasure, but against the slavery of pleasure. Freeing yourself from desires doesn't mean living without anything, but rather being the master of your own desires. It's having control over the impulse to consume, react, and show off. It's not depending on the approval of others to feel whole. It's knowing that you can enjoy something, but you can also live perfectly well without it. This is the essence of Stoic freedom. The person who masters their desires doesn't lose pleasure. They choose it consciously. And when they do, every simple experience, a meal, a sunrise, an honest conversation, becomes 1,000 times richer. Imagine a king who has everything, but lives anxiously, afraid of losing what he has. And now imagine a beggar who, despite having no possessions, sleeps peacefully because he fears nothing. Who is freer? What defines freedom is not what you have, but what you don't need to have. When Epictetus said that freedom lies in the removal of desires, he was speaking of an almost divine inner strength, the ability to be whole even in the midst of scarcity. It is this strength that no empire can buy. From the moment you understand that you don't need everything, the world stops controlling you. Ads lose their power, envy loses its strength, and fear loses its meaning. The man who controls his desires is the only one who lives in peace, and this peace is the true luxury of the 21st century. So ask yourself, what's holding you back today? What do you think you need but actually enslaves you? Reflect on that. And if this message resonated with you, subscribe to the channel, share this video, and write in the comments what you're willing to let go of, because freedom begins with letting go. To achieve freedom, there is only one way: contempt for things that do not depend on us. Epictetus had a simple but brutally powerful conviction. Man becomes a slave the very moment he tries to control what he cannot. And this slavery is invisible. It begins with small frustrations, the behavior of others, the outcome of a project, the direction of politics, the weather, traffic. Little by little, you begin to react to the world as if it should revolve around you. But the truth is harsh. The universe owes you nothing. Life unfolds as it will, and those who try to fight it suffer. Freedom arises when you understand what is within and what is outside your control. The problem is that we've been trained for the opposite. From an early age, we learn to want everything to work out, for everyone to like us, for everything to happen as planned. And when the inevitable chaos arrives, because it always does, we rebel. The common man believes that control is power, but the wise understand that power lies in not being controlled. True mastery is internal. It's choosing your attitude, even when the world falls apart. And that's not weakness, it's strength. Only those who master themselves are able to navigate chaos without breaking. Think of the great Stoic leaders, Marcus Aurelius, for example. Emperor of Rome, master of an empire, but a slave to nothing. He knew he could lose everything, except his control over himself. When plagues ravaged Rome, when wars broke out, he wrote to himself, "Accept what comes. Nature owes you no explanations." This is the highest level of freedom, that of someone who knows that life is unpredictable, but doesn't need to be lost to it. The man who accepts what cannot be changed and acts with serenity in the face of the inevitable is unattainable. Most people, however, live in a constant war against reality. They want others to be different, the past to change, life to follow its ideal path. But all of this is wasted energy. While you try to control the uncontrollable, you fail to act on what truly matters, your response. Anger, anxiety, and fear are symptoms of a mind trying to be God. And the more you try to force the world to conform to your will, the more the world proves to you that you have no control whatsoever. Suffering, in the end, is just resistance to what already is. Learning to disdain things beyond our control is an act of courage. It requires emotional detachment, humility, and clarity. It's looking at chaos and saying, "It's not mine." It's stopping trying to control the wind and starting to adjust the sails. It's acting firmly on what you can, your character, your choices, your focus, and letting the rest go. This isn't indifference, it's wisdom. The man who masters this art lives in peace even when everything around him collapses. He understands that absolute control is an illusion, but serenity is a choice. Want a practical example? Think about traffic. You don't control the drivers, the weather, or the traffic jam, but you do control the music you play, what you think, what you feel. You can transform that chaos into a patience exercise, a moment of reflection, or an audiobook on philosophy. The difference between a free man and a slave is not in the circumstances, but in how each person reacts to them. The common man complains, the wise man learns, and this learning is what makes him invincible, because no one can take away from you the power to choose your attitude. Epictetus said that whoever wants to be free must despise everything that doesn't depend on them. And this phrase, if understood deeply, changes everything. When you stop giving power to what's outside, to other people's opinions, to uncertainty, to loss, the world loses its ability to hurt you. You are no longer a puppet of circumstances, but the author of your own mind. So ask yourself, what are you still trying to control that's beyond your control? Leave a comment, share your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Because mastering the uncontrollable starts with mastering yourself. Any place where someone is held against their will is, for that person, a prison. Epictetus wasn't talking about bars or chains. He was talking about the invisible prison man builds within his own mind. How many people live like this? Trapped in jobs they hate, relationships that drain their energy, routines that suffocate their soul, and still call it life? The modern prison is silent. It has the appearance of comfort, but it's made of fear. Fear of change, fear of loss, fear of being judged. And as fear rules, freedom dies slowly, one day at a time. Being free isn't about doing whatever you want, but about not depending on what isn't essential. It's about being able to be anywhere and still be at peace. A free man can be in a dark room or an empire, and his mind remains serene because he doesn't live for external things. A prisoner can be surrounded by luxury and still feel suffocated, because everything you have depends on what you fear losing. And there's no prison more cruel than this, that of someone held hostage by their own uncontrolled will. Epictetus knew this truth well. He was born a slave, literally, but no master could imprison his mind. He understood early on that freedom isn't geographical, it's mental. You can take a man's body out of the cell, but if he still depends on approval, comfort, or control, he remains chained. How many today live trapped by appearances, status, social networks, comparisons, invisible chains, but heavy enough to crush the spirit? True liberation begins when you stop fighting the inevitable and begin consciously choosing where you want to be and why. The prison isn't where you are, but in the resistance to what is. To be against one's will is to deny reality, to live in conflict with the present. This generates frustration, anxiety, and anger. How many times have you caught yourself complaining about where you are, wishing you were somewhere else, in another phase, in another life? This is the mental hell of modern man, always running from himself. And the more he runs, the further away from peace he becomes. The mind only calms when it accepts the present and acts within what can change. Being free means being able to choose to stay or leave, and being at peace with that choice. It's not about conforming, it's about understanding. If something holds you back, ask yourself, is it the place, or is it the fear within you? Those who master their own will discover that freedom depends not on circumstances, but on clarity. The man who is master of himself can transform hell into a training ground, loneliness into wisdom, chaos into strength. The prison dissolves when you understand that the power of choice was never taken from you. You simply forgot it. Think about it. Maybe your work isn't the problem, but your lack of purpose in it. Maybe your relationship isn't your prison cell, but your emotional dependence. Maybe the city, the routine, the noise aren't the enemy, but merely mirrors of what you haven't yet mastered within yourself. Epictetus would say, "It's not the place that holds you, it's your reaction to it." When you change your relationship with the world changes shape. True freedom begins the moment you stop blaming the external and begin to refine the internal. If this thought made you reflect, share it with someone who still lives imprisoned by something that can only be freed with a change of perspective. Leave your comment and subscribe to the channel, because here, what we seek is not to escape the world, but to achieve freedom within it. In the end, it all comes down to a choice. Either you control your mind, or it will control you. The world out there is noisy, unforgiving, and won't slow down to wait for you. Every second you postpone self-control, someone, or something, is making the decision for you. And perhaps this is why so many feel empty, even when surrounded by everything they've ever wanted. Epictetus said that freedom is not a gift, but an achievement. And this achievement begins within each thought. Mastering the mind is learning to distinguish what is in your control and what is not, and having the courage to act on what depends on you. There is no greater power than remaining calm when the world screams, maintaining purpose when everyone else is distracted, living coherently when everything around encourages superficiality. Now look at your life. How many times have you reacted impulsively and regretted it later? How many times have you wished you had the control you lost in seconds of anger, fear, or doubt? Maybe it's time to stop looking for answers outside and start training them within. The real battlefield has never been the world. It's always been the mind. If this video resonated with you, don't let this knowledge die here. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share it with someone who needs to wake up to life before life wakes them up by force. Leave a comment with which of Epictetus's teachings touched you most, and how you intend to apply it in your daily life. Remember, wisdom left unapplied becomes oblivion. Strengthen the mind, peace in the heart.